What's up, everyone? Welcome to DGU Podcast. On today's episode, it's just going to be me doing a solo episode. I'm going to go over normalizing mental health issues and just being able to discuss them with people. Also discussing depression as well as motivation and just staying motivated and goals and stuff like that. So also, if you haven't seen any of the past episodes, definitely go back there. It's on the YouTube channel and Damian Gary, and you'll just be able to see all of the DGU podcast episodes in there. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share these videos as well if you find them helpful, and if you also find that they could also be helpful for other people. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this. So, number one, mental health. Okay. So, on our podcast, we have spoken, me and Adrian, that is, we have spoken about this topic multiple times, which is just being able to discuss these issues at hand with people that are close to you. Now, the whole thing is that, I understand that different cultures are not going to really talk about it. In fact, what I have learned is that different cultures actually suppress the person that's going through these things. The culture just suppresses you from being able to talk about it, even like anything remote of that. And they want to make sure that, they're instilling, like for guys especially, that the culture is instilling just ego and pride and just basically all those things. And from what it seems like to me is that it's almost like they don't, like, these cultures just want to, they have different viewership or different perception of what makes a man. And, for me, it's one of those things that, for me, and from what I think that everyone should be, is to be able to talk about these things with your people, with your loved ones, with, being able to go to, let's say, your best friend and talk about it and not have yourself be minimized, or even your dad or your mom or wife or anything of that nature, or even husband. Like, you should be able to go to these people and talk about these things because, this is real shit that you're going through. And I feel like, because I've actually been through it myself, but most people, whenever you're going through these things of like your mental stuff, like you've got so much going on in here, and it's like you don't want to, you want to go talk with somebody, but then a lot of people are afraid of going to that person or those people because, you might be minimized in some way, form, or fashion. And nowadays, like since COVID started in 2020, it's like, it's become one of those things that mental health has become more and more apparent. And it's like become a topic of discussion for a lot of people. And, Adrian and I, we've been talking about mental health well before the pandemic even happened. And it's just crazy to the both of us that, we've talked about this privately, is that, we have to be able to talk about these things and not be discounted for it. Like, you have to be able to talk about it and even to your family. And what I've seen with some of my other friends is that, this is where I learned with the culture stuff, is that, some other of my friends have told me that they have been kind of minimized into where they are not encouraged to speak about these things, in which it's unfortunate, because what I've noticed in people is that if you are suppressing all of that for yourself, then basically it becomes one of those things that you end up bottling so much stuff up, which builds up anxiety, it builds up depression, it builds up your confidence to be diminished. That is, it doesn't increase the confidence, it decreases the confidence within yourself to be able to grow, to be able to do things. And I've noticed that within a lot of people, actually. And it's like you might feel like you're good to go, but then realistically, like deep down inside, you're not. And I feel like a lot of people can really relate with this topic because even I can relate with it to an extent. Like, let's say for me, for example, right? So I've tried to go to friends in the past and to speak about these things, and there's not a lot of people that can relate, at least in my friend category. There's not a whole bunch of people that can relate with what I have gone through. There's like less than a handful of people, but there's not very many people that I could actually go to. So that's very unfortunate because, whenever someone like myself or any one of you for that matter, it's one of those things that you want to be able to feel safe with going to someone and talking about it and not being, like I said before, repeatedly so far, discounted and minimized. And that's where it becomes like this kind of insecurity deal to where we as people, we want to be able to discuss things with our friends and especially our best friends and whatnot and not be shooed away. And not be like, oh, you're a pussy for thinking about that, or just like anything of that nature. It just shouldn't even happen. And that's where it kind of comes into play as well. And this is another topic as well, is like, if you go to your friends and tell them about a dream that you have, that you want to do, that you feel like you can really make happen, and then they shit all over it, it's like, how can you, like, you shouldn't really be listening to that individual in the first place if they're shitting over your idea, because you have to look at it like this. If they have not gone through something that is setting a goal or even wanting to talk about how they feel, that they're saying that, oh, you're such a pussy for feeling like that, then like they're not trying to better themselves at all. So what makes you think that they're going to be able to relate with what you're going through more than, someone else that's going through the same shit, like a focus group, if you will, or even a therapist? And, with that, it's like, for me, I've been on that kick that, I was once upon a time in that frame of thinking that having a therapist was not the greatest thing. Like, I didn't feel like I should pay someone to speak with them about my shit. Like, there's no one person that told me this to make me have this perception of having a therapist, is that, like, there's just not. This is something that I made up myself. So for me, I didn't want to spend money to speak with somebody for an hour each session. I just didn't want to. I didn't feel the need for it. I felt that I could go to my friends and talk about this shit. Well, that's whenever I found out very quickly, no one can relate with what I'm going through, so I felt alone, which sucks. It's like the worst thing in the world. There's a whole thing about it as well. Whenever you're a business owner, you're already alone. That's the way it is. You're just alone. And basically you kind of alienate yourself because you're working on something that not a whole bunch of people in your friend group can even understand, because everyone is working a 9-to-5 job. And I'm not shitting on anyone that does a 9-to-5 job at all. In fact, like, I have done it as well before. But that's the thing, is like, if you have a dream, you can't expect everyone else to hop on board with that dream, because there's not as many people. You'll quickly find this out as well. There's not many people that can think that large, because whenever we have a dream, we're thinking about having a bigger house for ourselves and our families, having all these cars, having helicopters, having, like, just owning all of these hard assets and investing into stuff and owning all these different businesses. Well, if you're talking with somebody that literally is not even on that same wavelength of thinking, of thoughts, how can you expect them to understand? Much less, let's say that if they've been the type to suppress all of their emotions to where they don't talk about it, then how can you expect for them to talk about something that they have been suppressing, and they're not going to talk about it? That's how they have been trained, basically been brainwashed all their life to not talk about these things. But now you're wanting to come out of the woodworks. I'm that person that wanted to come out of the woodworks and talk about that with my friends. Yet I didn't grasp this until somewhat recently, which is just like cultures. Cultures typically brainwash their own kind to make them be the way that they are and make it like a generational thing. And so it sucks because so many people, including myself, so many of us should feel comfortable with talking about these things. It's a big deal. And if you're not comfortable with talking about it, then, you should work up that courage to want to talk about it, because there's a lot of things in this life that I have learned as well, is that we will not do on our own. And if we do it on our own, it's going to be a very rocky path. Because what's going to happen is that, let's say you go into, sorry, I'm like touching my nose a lot. I got nose hairs at the woozah. But the thing is that if you go and let's say you go to a therapist, let's say you go through your health insurance and your health insurance directs you to some therapists. First of all, what I've learned with this process is that the first therapist that you have is not going to be your end all be all. You have to find a therapist that is going to match with you. That's just simply how it's done. That's what you have to do. And so that's what I've learned because I have a therapist that I'm seeing as well. And I'm on my second one now. And, it's been one of those things that the first one that I had I didn't feel the greatest with it. And that's not a bad thing. And I thought it was a bad thing. The last time I had been into seeing a therapist, I think I was like 9, 8 or 9, one of those. And it's because I had anger issues as a kid. And so nowadays, it's been that long since I've seen a therapist. And so now I'm so lost as to how I'm supposed to approach these conversations. What goes on in the conversation? I don't know. It's like a building block of shit. And so it's been really cool though, because the process that I've been on has been understanding what I'm looking for and what I'm not looking for. And so that's one of the things that really cool stuff that you'll be able to find if you do go through this process of getting a therapist. You'll find that there's these different things that you'll just find out about yourself as well. If one person is focused on growth and change with growth, then you'll find out pretty quickly throughout conversations that, let's say if you're already surpassed that, then cool, you're surpassed it and you're looking for something else. So that therapist won't be able to do anything for you. Let's say that you're trying to go into your past. Well, then you're going to start uncovering things about your past that have affected your future. And maybe that's something for you. Maybe it's not. Then you go on to something else. And it's you have to find those things. And you can't, for myself, I couldn't find what I was looking for until I was going through my processes. That's literally how it is. And so, so far, so good for me. But that's the thing, is that I had to be comfortable enough with myself to seek something like that out in order for me to start, understanding myself a little bit more. Because in going through these processes, you do start to find out things about yourself that you didn't know before. And it's a really cool thing because you'd be surprised of how your past affects your future. You'd be surprised of how growth and change affects how you kind of approach things. And these are it's not a ding on yourself. It's just something that you've been suppressing. It's something that you haven't come to terms with. And you find these things out by discussion, by talking about it, by not being minimized. And it's you can actually feel comfortable with talking about these things. So, for me, I now am very much in support of anyone seeking out a therapist. If you feel that you need to, definitely do it. Because I promise you guys, it will be so much better for you. You'll feel more comfortable with yourself. You'll be able to answer a lot of questions that you're probably asking yourself. And let's say if you're driving in the car, right? This happens to me a lot. Let's say you're driving in the car and you talk to yourself. I find myself talking to me a lot, and there's no problem with that. But whenever you do that, you're trying to self-assess a situation, a lot of situations. And more times than not, you cannot do that. You just can't. And if you try to, then you're only going to have your viewership. And that's where a lot of things get skewed. It's the same thing as you having a toxic relationship. You won't be able to find out that you have a toxic relationship because you're in that relationship, whether it be a friendship, a relationship, business relationship, whatever it is. That's what happens. You won't be able to assess it because you're in it. So you're going to be biased about the whole thing yourself because, once again, you're in the situation. You won't be able to realistically remove yourself from it and be an outsider looking in. So that's a big deal to understand for yourself and for your future growth, and how you're going to deal with these things. It's a big deal. So, whenever, come on, Diesel, come on. So, sorry, Diesel's coming in the room. So that's a big deal, though, is that, you want to be able to talk with somebody that's going to be able to be an outsider looking in. You tell the person what you're going through, then you go ahead and they're like asking you questions, and then you answer what you think, and they give a suggestion, and it's literally all these different types of deals that goes on, but it's super productive. It's so cool. And that's the thing, is that you can't get that from a friend. Like, you can try your damnedest. I know I have, but it's not always going to get to that point to where they're going to be able to understand what you're going through. That's the big deal about it. It's like being able to understand where a person is coming from is so far greater than just, talking with a friend. Like, you can talk with a friend about shit, but again, like, it's so difficult. And plus nowadays, like, let's even go, like, let's hold nowadays and let's go in the past. In the past, it's always been like, if you talk about your feelings, then you're seen as a pussy, especially for guys. You're just seen that way. And it's a hard knock life for us. But that's the thing, is like, nowadays, it seems like mental health is becoming more and more and more apparent, which is really great. And I'm glad to see it done, because you know how many suicides could have been avoided had there been a space for these kids and adults to be able to talk? Like, that's a big deal. And there's so many that could have been prevented had there been something in place and for some understanding to have been in place. And that's the unfortunate part, is that, like, that's a whole other topic as well, because, there's all this stuff on social media, right? Which I am one that I'm not, like, for me, I get sucked in with social media. So I've been doing my best to stay off of it. And the closest thing to social media that I've been doing lately for myself is these videos. So that's the thing, these episodes. So, but that's the deal, is that, like, even whenever you see on social media, like, your network becomes your net worth, right? So that's a whole other topic, because now you go into, let's put the whole mental health on the side for right now, and let's go on your network becomes your net worth. Well, that's what people say, right? Well, most people that are on social media, for example, will be like, they'll have this rock star mentality, right? So no matter what you try to reach out, people won't reach back out with you. And it's very unfortunate, because how is it that your net worth is tied to your network, but if you can't build that network, then how do you expect for your net worth to increase? because you put that reel out there, and like you put that line out there, and you're fishing, and then there's no bite. Before you know it, you do that 100 times over again, and there's still no bite. It's like, what the fuck? How are you supposed to get ahead in this world if no one is going to pay attention? But here's the kicker. This happens every fucking time too. When you die, okay, let's say if it was a suicide and it becomes a headline, man from California commits suicide, and he's got all these videos on talking about mental health and network is your net worth. I'm describing myself. Let's say I pass away, and there's now attention being made to it, when right now in this present moment no attention is being made to it. But all of a sudden, whenever you pass away, that's when shit becomes apparent. It's like, where was this attention when I was alive, or when this person was alive? Where was it? It's not there. It's like a facade. It's so stupid to me, because it's like, you don't, like, these people, like, I think I'm gonna butcher the name. I don't mean to, but the guy that passed away, XXX Tentacion. So this young rap artist, he said as well in a song, and I have the song on my SoundCloud, is that man, if I knew he was that cool, then I would have linked up with him and I would have done something, and that's what he says in the song. And it hit me one day whenever I heard that, because I was like, damn, like that hit me hard, because that's the way I've been feeling. That's the way that I have been talking about. And it sucks because it seems like no one wants to give anyone a chance. It's like a dog eat dog world. And it sucks that we live in that type of world. But, you know, we all kind of create our own paths, and we should be the types to not trust people so quickly. And to a point, you know, most people are in it for themselves. Very few of us are going to be in it for like helping other people. Very, very few people. So that's the whole thing. So that topic of rant will be over with. It'll be wrapped up at this time. But just understand that, you know, what I've said already. So, you know, normalizing mental health and talking about it and being comfortable with talking about it, no matter the culture that you're in, you know, you should be able to talk about them, to talk about these things in general. Okay. So now let's move on to depression. Okay. So depression is a big deal. Okay. It really goes in and ties in with mental health discussions. Now, when you're depressed, okay, I've been there plenty of times already. Okay. And this is a for real thing. It's a dark place. You feel, not motivated at all. You don't feel like you have any life in you. You just feel dead inside. You don't feel loved. You don't feel like you bring any value at all to anyone around you, and not even to yourself. What was once upon a time a sprouting, flying butterfly is now just a dead butterfly. And it sucks because, you know, we as people, you know, this kind of goes into bottling everything inside with your mental health and talking about these things. You know, when you are going through depression, that is a dark hole, and misery loves company. Okay, y'all, I'll repeat that. Misery loves company. If you give misery company, it's going to love it, and it's going to take you down with it. Now, positivity can spread just as easy as negativity. So let's say that you try to get out of this, you know, this whole depression. You know, it's very difficult. I've been there before. It is very hard. But sometimes, like, let's say that you've got stuff, like you've got videos that are going on of your past. I found it, for me, to be really awesome to replay those videos for myself to see what I once was. And it's crazy because for me, it kind of like started sparking some stuff in my head and started making that Damien come back alive. Because sometimes, you guys, what y'all need to understand is that you can lose sight of who you are. You can lose sight of yourself very easily. It happens. And it sucks because we're sitting around, we're doing our stuff. And for those of us who are on the daily grind, we're doing our shit, right? You're doing your stuff, you're getting through everything. And it's like, all you want to do is like make your dreams come true. And then you get up there, let's say you're at the top, and then something happens to where you didn't protect yourself good enough, and then you lose everything. Well, then you're back down to ground zero after you worked all these years upon building something, and then it just comes crumbling down like a sandcastle. It's just gone so easily. Then before you know it, you're down and out about yourself, and then you have to start focusing on something else or build that same thing up again. But now the good thing is that you have to learn is that these past things that you've done so far are things that you can learn from. They're experiences that you didn't go through before. So now you get to understand exactly how to protect yourself in different business dealings and creating businesses and relationship building and trust and all this stuff. These are things that you do. And it's very important for all of us to understand these things. So now, let's say now you're on the up and up. You're building things back up to where they were, and then something else happens. Well, then you're back down, and it's like now you're just back down another time, and you just feel like everything is against you. And this is the point to where you just feel like you're in a black hole. You're in bed all day long. You don't get up until it's 3 or 5 p.m. Your day is already fucking gone. And now it's like you don't work out anymore. You're not eating right. You're not drinking water at all. No longer is laughter in the air. It's so hard to smile, and your eyes start drooping because now you're so unhappy. Now it's affecting your face. And you don't go outside. You don't do all of the things that you used to do. And that's the thing is that whenever you get into this black hole, y'all, it's so imperative to try to go back to what you used to do. Like what made you happy before. What tasted good, as in food. What made you laugh. Go back to those things that made you laugh. Go watch that stuff. And, laughter in the air, like have good vibes. And then at that point, start to have friends around you to try to lift up your spirits a bit. Because, these things are very big. It's insane. And then it's like, it's so crazy because they've done studies, like scientific studies on MDMA, for example, and mushrooms, and it's insane. And I'm nowhere near telling any of my viewers here to go ahead and do MDMA or mushrooms or anything of that nature. I'm not saying to do it. All I'm saying is that there's studies out here that have been published online that are for manically depressed patients that have helped them get out of it. Sometimes we need that. And, maybe it's none of those. Maybe it's some type of antidepressant. I have been on Lexapro before whenever I was in high school. And, it helped me out. Truly, it did help me out. And I had to go on like the entire thing of different types. I was on Lexapro, and then I was on something else afterwards, and one other thing, and it was like I felt like a guinea pig, and it sucked because yes, it helped me be happier. It helped me get out of my depressed state of mind, and then once I felt like I was good, I stopped taking it, and in fact, I was better again. So, antidepressants do help as long as they're prescribed by a doctor. I do suggest that. But, go see a doctor. Go see a therapist for them to help, diagnose you a little bit. Those are the things. And once again, I am not telling any of you that are listening to this or watching this video to take any type of drug that's out there just on your own. Because nowadays, you have to worry about, if things are being laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing so many people. So I don't suggest upon, getting some type of drug from your friend, like at all. Like I do not suggest doing that. I don't condone doing that. Like it's just a big no-no because, you just stay away from that because, fentanyl is a big deal. They have drug busts going on all the time. You hear about it on the news all the time nowadays, and you just don't want to do it. So stay away from it. Like sincerely, stay away. But, if you are going through some stuff in your life that you are feeling depressed, reach out to somebody. Reach out to your parents. Reach out, and if you're like me, your parents aren't there, go ahead and reach out to your friends. Hopefully they understand. Reach out to a mentor. Reach out to a hotline. Reach out to a therapist. Like do something for yourself because the last thing you want to do is to do something to yourself that could have very well been prevented. Okay, that is a big deal, everyone. It could have been prevented. Okay, so just take that into huge consideration when you're doing all of this because, again, if things can be avoidable, avoid it just by talking about it sincerely. Now, let's go upon, also, before I forget that. So when you are depressed, okay, make sure that you are working out, that you are feeding yourself, not just feeding yourself, but drinking water, getting sunlight, going for runs. You start getting a runner's high, which is a form of happiness. That's your endorphins. That's your receptors kick in and you're going for it. Like you start to feel so good. And then even talking about it to people, you'd be surprised of how many people can relate with what you're going through. Before you know it, just by off of your own experiences, you can help other people. I don't know any other thing that can be so selfless by helping somebody else. Such a big deal, everyone. Like, I cannot stress that enough to you guys. And then going ahead and working out. Working out is huge as well because not only running, but working out, lifting weights, you're hitting your nervous system. Once you're hitting your nervous system, that's going to make everything in your brain start going on like crazy too. Before you know it, you're going to feel better. You're going to talk better. You're going to, your whole mentality is going to just be better. But then what'll happen, I've been through this plenty of times. That's how I'm saying all this, is that you go ahead and you start working out, you can start running, you start feeling better about yourself, then you start having these thoughts, okay? Now, this is a very big deal, y'all. When you have thoughts of ideas starting to hit, okay? It doesn't matter if it's late at night, doesn't matter if it's early in the morning, does not matter at the time of day or night. Make sure that you write it down with a notepad that I literally have below my camera here, or you're using this device, okay? Everyone, even if you're 10 years old nowadays, even 8 years old nowadays, you have these devices, okay? Now, kids, I know from my love for my wife, I understand through her that there are kids that are going through these things that I'm talking about right now. There's kids in high school. I was one as a high schooler that went through this shit. There's kids in middle school that are going through this shit that are not having attention given to them by their parents. Okay? There's kids, literal fucking kids, y'all, that are going through mental health issues that don't even feel like being here anymore. They don't, because they're not getting the attention. They're being minimized. They're being discounted for anything that they feel because their parents don't want to deal with it. That's unfortunate because that leads to suicides of fucking kids, you guys, of children that shouldn't be feeling this way. They should have parents and guardians that are being there for them, that aren't smoking meth, that aren't partying like crazy, that aren't drinking all the fucking time, that are there, they're present, they're trying to help their kids out. That's what these kids need. And it's so unfortunate because, when my wife goes to some of these events that's held like once or twice or 3 times a year for these kids specifically, okay, I personally was genuinely surprised of how many kids that actually come out and start talking about how they have suicidal thoughts, how they have tried to act upon it, how their parents aren't there to help them through these difficult times, how literally these kids that are bullying these other kids, like bullying has always been a thing, even a thing of the past and a thing of the present and future. It's always there because let's say, like, I don't even know, like there's so many reasons as to why kids will bully other kids. And it's unfortunate because now those bullies become, let's say this happens all the time. Let's say bullies become officers because they're insecure about themselves, so they have to feel secure about themselves. I'm not saying this is all police officers by any means. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that a lot of people that get into high power things, even let's say such as a police officer, will go ahead and get into that position because they never felt secure within themselves, and now they feel the need to want to get into something because they want to feel like they have some type of power. And then once they get that power, then they use that little bit of power, and then it's like the whole cycle of things. Then it becomes an adult version of bullying, which we've seen in the whole thing with George Floyd. Like literally, we've seen that already. We've seen what happens, and it happens countless amount of times to where like the law enforcement across the country, these guys and females, they do these things, and it could be like an opposite effect too. If someone was bullied and then they go into being an officer and those are the good guys. Those are the ones that are trying to protect those people that are being bullied. And it's a whole fucking circle of things. Like it always comes back around. And that's even if these kids can even survive. It's such a huge deal, you guys, to be able to talk about these things. And it's so unfortunate because like we should, like I said before so many times during this episode, we should be the ones that are encouraging kids, encouraging adults to talk about how you're feeling. Don't discount it. Don't suppress it, because once you suppress it, these things will come out. They can come out in various amount of situations. And like I won't get into that part, but they could be very dark, and they could be, but the biggest thing, you guys, is that it could be prevented. Y'all, it can absolutely be prevented. That's all I'm saying. So now let's go on to my next topic, motivation and goals. Like those are kind of one in the same thing in my eyes, at least. So for motivation, okay. So I've gone through the ups and downs of this stuff already, and I was recently told by a buddy of mine, and out in Dallas, is that and I'll leave him anonymous for the most part, but he told me that that he used to view, like he used to watch like the earlier episodes of ours of DGU podcast, and he's like, dude, like the earlier episodes I listened to, and it was insane of how it impacted me personally, because your voice came through as nothing in this world is going to fucking stop what you're doing. And he's like, and nowadays, because we had this talk a couple weeks ago, is that he's like, nowadays it's like, I think you should go back to those videos for your own self and really see what you were talking about. And whenever he said that, I was like, damn, like he's so right. Like I should. And this is what I've been talking about in this episode today. Go back to past videos, because nowadays we take videos all the time of ourselves, of how we were in the past. And so I thought to myself, like, damn, like he's so right. So I did. I went back to those videos because I tell you guys, whenever I go ahead and make these videos, when Adrian and I do, we're so in the moment of these conversations taking place that I know for myself, I don't really go back and watch it because it's being delivered from myself and from Adrian. And so I don't really go back and review it at all. And so when my buddy told me this, he was like, go back and watch it, because I told him what I was going through and that I just I was just feeling so down and out about myself, and I just felt lost and all these things. And this was super recent. And so like now it's like I went back to it and I was like, damn, like I was on fire. Like there was nothing that fucking could stop me at all. Like if I wanted to do it, I was doing it. And now it's like I feel like I'm finally getting back into that groove of not feeling sorry for myself and knowing that whether there's that old saying, whether there's a will, there's a way. And for me right now, my focus is real estate. Okay. Right now, my motive, like I've been working on getting my real estate license. I finally passed back in October of this year of 2022. And now I'm just waiting on my license to come in from the state, which should be next week, which is the first week of January. So now I've passed what I needed to pass. I've worked on what I need to work on. I'm so fucking motivated, y'all, that I feel like a caged dog that once I get my license, I am off to the fucking races, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to come first place. And so like, it's a big deal to me because like I have been, for me, myself, and this is going into my own motivation, and hopefully this can translate to every one of you through the camera and over this, over the audio, is that for me, okay, and again, hopefully this can translate well, is that for years, for like, I'm 33. Yeah, I think I'm 33 right now. So my first, let's call it like my first 14, 15 years roughly of my life. Okay. I've been running my own businesses. I've been doing odd jobs like being stuntman, being a pro athlete, and being able to do all these different things for myself and to make money. And then, that was my early 20s that I was doing the athlete, that I was really doing the stunt work, and then for like TV shows. And then I went into operating my businesses. Well, then one business led to another, which led to another, which led to another. Before you know it, I had 6 of them. And then it was like, a lot of people were telling me even at that time, Damien, your charisma, your personality, you'd be so amazing at doing real estate. And so I was in Dallas at the time, y'all. So for me, I thought to myself, I'm hearing from everyone and their grandmother that they're becoming real estate agents. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I have all these other companies right now. Like I'm fine with where I'm at right now. Like I don't need to go into being a real estate agent. And so I put it like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm not going to go into any red water. And for those of you that don't know the red water situation, blue water is not being hunted at all. Red water is where all the blood is. So if it's a bloodbath, then why go into it? If it's blue water, then that's perfect because, well, now you can start to really get a lot of traction because there's no other predators in that water. So there you go for the blue and red water. So I saw it as a red water situation because everyone and their grandmother, once again, was going into it. So one of my buddies, one of my other friends, we co-screenwrite. We did a co-screenwriting deal for a screenplay, and so he had a brokerage of his own, and he told me as well, Damien, you should go into real estate. And I'm like, okay, like I get it, but again, I'm not going. Like I don't want to, and so again, because of the red water situation. Well, then. Moving forward from there, I get into this is post my businesses. So in late 2016, I started going into phone sales. And so I found that I was a natural at it. And another buddy of mine was like, he's the one that introduced me to it. And he's the one that really mentored me for 6 months. And he's like, dude, you're a natural. Like, all you need to do is just understand the product and you're going to be a fucking rock star. Like, you're going to be unstoppable. So I was like, all right, cool. And that was in oil and gas. And so then from there, I left the oil and gas industry, and then 2017, I got into working with a medical device company, raising capital for them as well. And so from 2017 to 2020 is whenever I was doing that. And again, I with that career that I had, I was the VP of sales and marketing. And so, and I was the one that was in charge of updating the shareholders, and I wore like 12 hats with this company. And so that's what brought me out here to California. So my whole thing, the reason why I'm telling you guys this, I promise the train is going to circle back around. So I'm speaking with thousands of accredited investors, which a lot of them became my friends over time. And so we would have conversations, how did you get your wealth? And everyone's telling me real estate. 9 times out of 10, everyone says real estate. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, if it's real estate, like, damn, like I should have gotten started in this thing like so sooner. But I didn't because I was afraid of the red water situation. So now I go into understanding like, damn it, like I should go into real estate. So 2020 rolls around. That's the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. And so I had already, so here's my crossroads situation of what I regret. Okay. Talk about shit we regret. So in 2020, I think it was like February of actually it was technically January of 2020 that I started this process. But basically what happened was that I was at a crossroads between going into real estate or going into life insurance. Okay. So I made the decision to go into life insurance because I understood that in December, I think it was December 16th of 2019, is whenever the whole thing came out about a guy eating some food in China. I think it was like bat soup and something else. And he started getting these weird symptoms and he came over to California, I believe it was. And then like that's whenever COVID really started taking a spread. Well, that's the story that I remember very fucking clearly. So, and I'm sure it's still out there. So, and I think it was December 16th, as crazy as that is. And so basically from there, I saw that there might be some type of death scare. And so I was like, okay, this would be a perfect deploy moment if I deployed myself and got into life insurance. Again, it was between life insurance and real estate. Okay. Real estate, which has been on my mind for years, and the life insurance that just came, and I just saw it as like an opportunity to bank on, on people fearing that they're gonna die and that they're not gonna be able to take care of their families. And it was so unfortunate because I regret that decision very heavily because I thought that people actually gave a fuck about their families enough to get the coverage. And I found out very quickly, people don't give a fuck about their families. And it's very unfortunate for me to even say that. And especially in this episode, because I've already spoke about how guardians and parents don't care about their kids enough. And the result of that is their kids are having these dark thoughts, of which kids should not even be thinking about these things. Kids should be worrying about what friend are they going to be hanging out with the next day? What sport are they going to become better at? What academic are they going to be better at? What language are they going to learn next? They should be learning those things, or freaking out about getting inside of the house before the street lights turn on. That's what I was raised with. So basically, I go in, I get my life insurance license in 1 month's time. Like I shit you guys not, that's what happened. It was, I started in January, and then it went into February. And February, I basically took I was doing the wrong stuff in January. So that month was a wash. And then I started officially in February, and I got my license and everything, by 4/20. So, but I completed everything by the end of February. Well, again, this is my regret, because I should have gone for real estate, because by then I would have been, 3 years into real estate. And I feel like nowadays, you guys, I wasted so much fucking time. I helped a few people along the way get their coverages, including myself. I was able to learn, to make a negative into a positive, I was able to learn about annuities. I was able to, again, help people. I was there to help people get the best coverage possible for the amount of money that they were going to spend per month for, their coverage that they wanted. So I was an advocate for that. And so then I went into annuities. And so going fast forward into everything, I saw that, it was going to be a wash for me. So my motivation started coming in again. And I was raising capital for a commercial real estate fund. And then at that time I was like, damn, real estate, I should go ahead and do it. And so this past year I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I thought to myself, fuck, this sucks. This really sucks. And so even before that, last year, I did timeshares. And so timeshares is weird, you guys, very fucking weird. And so even then, every guest that I would accompany, they would tell me straight up, they would be like, Damien, if you were selling us a home right now, I would absolutely buy from you. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome. But hey, I got this. And they're like, well, we don't want it. And I'm like, okay, understood. So I went into, nowadays, I started my real estate stuff back in May of this year of 2022. And I was on par and everything for my goals. And I'm sincerely motivated by money and by giving my family the best life possible. But in lieu of all of this, I'm here wanting to make sure that, I'm advocating for people as well. The people that I'm servicing, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job by those clients, all day long. All I want to do is make sure that they are good, because as long as I focus on my clients and their reasons of wanting to purchase a new home, for example, and their families, then as long as I provide that exclusive experience and deliver everything I can, and not give them 10 homes that is out of their price range, I want to try to give them 3 homes that's going to best suit what they have told and expressed to me of what they want. So now I'm I've gone through, got everything done. Now I'm just waiting on my license so I can hit the ground running and get into an industry that I should have been in for over a decade now. If I listened to other people's suggestions towards me, if I really looked into it more, then y'all, I would have been so much further ahead in life. And granted, yes, I'm 33 years old now, but that's where I feel like everything I've told y'all in this episode, I truly feel as though everything I've done up until now has gotten me sincerely ready for this new career, running businesses, running someone else's business, basically. And then doing a 9 to 5 in sales. I did roofing. I did timeshare. I've done tax resolution. Oh my God, what else have I done? Yeah, I've done a few other things. Oh, annuities and life insurance. I've done a couple other things, but like, solar installs as well. But that's not a it's not a sales job. But these are the things that I've done. So with all of these, like, the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because I have been through so many different sales trainings, quote unquote, that I have learned more than the average salesperson would ever know. I've been in phone sales. I've been in-person sales. I've done it all. And it's like nowadays, I can't be taught really anything new other than real estate stuff. Yeah, that stuff I'm not even going to sit here and say I'm the best of the best right now. I feel like just with my own savage mentality, I will within 3 months become the best, because I have that devotion to my craft that I will figure this shit out very, very, very quickly, because I'm a quick learner. So my motivation and my goals is to be the best real estate agent that I can be here in Southern California, to represent my clients the best that I can possibly. And then my goals is to, I guess, like, that's where it's like kind of like the same for me, is that my goals would be like to become the top real estate agent in Southern California, to be able to give my family the best life possible with real estate, to acquire businesses through real estate. Like, real estate is my bread and butter. And then I've got another big deal on the horizon, which is stand-up comedy. I said it, you guys, stand-up comedy. And I am so excited to go into stand-up comedy, because this is another thing. This kind of ties in with real estate. I have been wanting to do motivational speaking, pretty much kind of like I'm doing today. I've also been wanting to do like a lot of public speaking gigs. And I find out that this is where I had to like reverse into my past and look within myself and understand me a little bit. I had to understand that Damian Gary, I enjoy business, but something that I enjoy more than business, other than my wife and my family, my boys, my dogs, that is making people laugh. Like, I love giving people shit because it creates laughter, and making fun of myself because it creates laughter. I will hurt myself, not in any like super negative way, but like I'll trip over something, not on purpose sometimes, but like I'll trip over something or stub my toe. And, you know, whenever you stub your toe, you're like, oh, and it creates positivity around you, because a lot of people love to laugh at your pain that you're going through. And especially if it's relatable pain. And like, if you shit yourself in a restaurant, for example, like you thought it was a fart, but then you push a little and it becomes shit, and you literally shit yourself in a restaurant. Many people can relate with that. So it's a big deal for me to want to make people laugh, because for me, to an extent, I'm so exhausted, you guys, of having to try so hard with selling something. And I would much rather sell laughter, because at the end of the day, my viewpoint is that at the end of the day, when you go to a comedy club, you're there to laugh. Laughing is free. And when you go to see someone perform, most of the time, they're talking about shit that is super relatable. And most of the time, whenever you come as a spectator, most people that are spectators, they don't have the tenacity to go up on stage and talk about their stuff, because they, as a spectator, are there to laugh. Maybe they had a shitty day. And me as a performer, I can go ahead and make my audience laugh. I'm not selling anything. I'm here to make you laugh. I'm here to make you enjoy your night with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your best friend, your best girlfriend, like your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your grandmother, whoever it is. I don't give a shit who it is, but fucking laugh. Because again, with this episode, you never know what someone else is going through. You just never know. And then for someone to sit there in a spectating audience and watch a performer perform stand-up comedy is like, it's a way for them to escape. It's a way for them to like watch a movie of someone else's pain. It's a way for them to relate with your pain, that they're not a fucking lone, that they're here with you, watching you perform and watching you perform this crazy shit. It's like, it's super amazing. So it's been a long time coming for me, and it's been a lot of reflections for myself to really understand that that's something that I want to do. And like, I just lost, for me, like, sincerely, you guys, I'm being ultra sincere. I genuinely lost sight of the joy of making people laugh. Like, my wife and I shit y'all not, my wife and I laugh so much that we've been asked, why do y'all laugh so much? We enjoy one another. We enjoy laughing with one another. We enjoy cutting up with one another. We enjoy joking with one another and making each other laugh. Like, whenever we go somewhere to a restaurant or something, like, I am a loud individual, okay? Like, there's no hiding me. Like, I will be somewhere and I will laugh. Like, I don't give a fuck who's around. I will laugh. And my laughter, like, if y'all have heard our past episodes, me and Adrian's past episodes, you'll hear me laugh. And whenever I'm doing the post edits, because I'm the one that does that, I have to turn the microphone down a little bit in those spots because it would blow y'all's speakers out, because I laugh so hard and I laugh so loud. And so, you know, my laugh, what I've been told, is like kind of contagious, because it's so animated that it's like, how can this person be this happy and laugh this much? So I'm so genuine about this, you guys. Like, I just really enjoy giving joy to people, and I'm so excited for what's on the horizon, and I'm so motivated. And I've been, like, for the past 4 months now, I've been making tons of content and material for myself to get myself prepped. I've been practicing in front of a camera in my lights, to help myself work up that courage, if you will, to get up on stage and perform in front of an entire audience. I've been priming myself up for this because I'm that motivated to want to do it. I've been working on this for months now to feel comfortable in front of a microphone, literally a microphone. I'm not joking, you guys. My wife and I have a karaoke machine. That's a little speaker with a microphone hooked up to it. And I shit y'all not, I fucking practice in front of this camera here with even more lighting than this, and a microphone, like not this microphone, an actual like echoing microphone. And I want to get used to hearing myself over a speaker and get used to like microphone range, because that's something that I had to learn, is that like with doing this, you know, whenever music artists, whenever they're like going away from the microphone, like making this whole, like, I know I'm doing a weird gesture, but like they make a fade out of their voice and they make it come back in. That's working the microphone. And I didn't realize this. Like, I saw, like, you can see them performing. You can see stand-up comics doing it as well, in some way, like tapping the microphone to make like they got hit or something. Like, that's improvising your situation with what little material, like what little things you have around you as objects to act out. So once again, you guys, like, my motives and my goals is to become the best real estate agent here in Southern California, and also to become an outstanding comedic performer, and to make people laugh, and to bring joy, and to just, just to be able to make people have a better day from their shitty day. There's something about it that is so satisfying to myself. And, there's a lot of comedians out there that I do have to kind of really thank. But, that's just kind of how that goes. So anyways, y'all, I really appreciate y'all listening in on this episode and viewing if you're viewing on YouTube. If you have liked this episode today, please be sure to like. Be sure to subscribe if you want to make sure that you're being alerted on the next few episodes that are coming. Comment, like, share, subscribe. And once again, my name's Damien, DGUPODCAST. And hopefully everyone, if you're going through any type of mental health issues, please, for the love of God, go to a hotline, visit somebody, get a therapist, talk with somebody about it, because if it can be avoided, then avoid it. And next time, or for all those of you out there, go ahead and find yourself at an improv or a comedic station, like a Laugh Factory, or like a comic show. Because you just might see me there. So why not, right? So, and you're there to laugh. So laugh. Like, that's all I can say. Laughter is just like the best medicine of all. Laugh your ass off. So anyways, y'all, once again, thank y'all very much for viewing this episode today. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. And till next time, be good, laugh a lot, eat lots of great food, and love everyone around you. Peace, everyone.